October 21st, 1805. The sun rises over the Atlantic as two massive fleets prepare for the most decisive naval battle in European history. Admiral Nelson's 27 ships of the line face off against the combined French and Spanish fleet of 33 vessels, cannons loaded, sails full, and 60,000 men ready to die for their nations. It's the Battle of Trafalgar, where wooden walls and iron men will determine the fate of Europe. But let's change one thing. Cutting through the morning mist at impossible speed sits something that shouldn't exist for another 210 years. The USS Gerald R. Ford, a 100,000-ton nuclear supercarrier from 2024, bristling with enough firepower to level entire coastlines and aircraft that move faster than sound itself. So what happens when the most advanced floating fortress on Earth faces off against the greatest naval commanders of the Age of Sail at their absolute peak? This isn't just any aircraft carrier. The Gerald R. Ford represents the pinnacle of 21st century naval engineering. At 1,106 feet long and powered by two nuclear reactors generating enough electricity to light up half of London, this floating city makes HMS Victory look like a rowboat. Here's what this technological marvel is packing: 75 fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters that can launch and recover every 20 seconds using electromagnetic catapults that would seem like pure magic to Napoleon's admirals. We're talking F-35 Lightning stealth fighters that can engage targets 100 miles away while remaining completely invisible to any detection method 1805 can imagine. F/A-18 Super Hornets armed with precision-guided munitions that can thread the needle through a ship's rigging from 50 miles out. An E-2 Hawkeye surveillance aircraft with radar systems that can track every seagull within 300 miles. But the real game changer isn't just the planes. The Ford's advanced radar suite can simultaneously track thousands of targets while calculating wind patterns, ocean currents, and probably what Admiral Villeneuve had for breakfast. Its phalanx close-in weapon systems fire 4,500 rounds per minute, each bullet guided by computers that think faster than human reflexes. The ship's defensive systems alone could swat cannonballs out of the sky like mosquitoes. And let's not forget, this entire floating death machine is powered by nuclear energy that won't run out for 25 years, meaning it can maintain flank speed indefinitely, while every other ship in 1805 is at the mercy of wind and weather. Against this technological terror stands the greatest collection of naval talent the world has ever assembled. Admiral Horatio Nelson aboard HMS Victory, the man who's never lost a naval engagement and whose tactical genius rewrote the rules of sea warfare. Vice Admiral Villeneuve, commanding the combined fleet, fresh from victories across the Mediterranean. These aren't merchant sailors or coastal raiders. These are the elite of their nations, commanding ships that represent centuries of naval evolution. 74 gun-third rates with crews that can fire 3 broadsides in 2 minutes. First rates like the 130-gun Santissima Trinidad, floating fortresses that took decades to build and carry enough firepower to flatten entire towns. These wooden leviathans fight with tactics perfected through generations of warfare. Line of battle formations that maximize broadside effectiveness. Crews trained from childhood who can reload and fire in conditions that would break modern sailors. And commanders who think in terms of wind gauge, weather positioning, and close-quarter combat, where victory goes to whoever can pour the most lead into enemy hulls fastest. But here's the critical difference. In 1805, Naval combat happens at ranges measured in hundreds of yards, not hundreds of miles. Ships fight until they can see the whites of their enemies' eyes, where courage and seamanship matter more than technology. The Ford's aircraft can strike from beyond the horizon, but its 5,000 crew members have never experienced the terror of splintering wood, the screams of men torn apart by grape shot, or the chaos of ships locked together in mortal combat. As dawn breaks over the Atlantic, two eras of naval warfare are about to collide in ways that will redefine what's possible on the high seas. The question isn't just whether modern technology can overcome historical tactics, but whether 21st century sailors can adapt to 19th century brutality when their technological advantages start running thin. At 6 a.m., Nelson signals his famous message across the British fleet. England expects that every man will do his duty. But today, duty takes on an entirely different meaning. The Ford's captain watches through advanced optics as the combined Franco-Spanish fleet forms their traditional line of battle, 33 ships stretching across 5 miles of ocean. To them, this is the ultimate display of naval power. To the Ford, it's target practice. The carrier's Air Operations Center springs into action. 8 F-35 Lightning fighters launch in rapid succession, their afterburners screaming across water that's never heard such sounds. Within minutes, they're climbing to 40,000 feet, completely invisible to every telescope and spyglass below. From this altitude, the entire battle space looks like a board game. Wooden ships arranged in perfect formations, their canvas sails billowing in morning winds, completely unaware that death approaches from an impossible direction. The first strike package locks onto Villeneuve's flagship, the 80-gun Bucentaure. The French admiral stands on his quarterdeck, studying Nelson's approaching columns through his brass telescope, calculating wind angles and gun ranges. He has no idea that laser-guided bombs are already screaming toward his position at twice the speed of sound. The first explosion vaporizes the ship's stern, detonating the powder magazine in a fireball that can be seen from Gibraltar. Within seconds, France's naval command structure simply ceases to exist. Panic spreads through the combined fleet faster than their signal flags can communicate. Ships that took years to build and represent the pinnacle of 18th century craftsmanship are disappearing in flashes of light and thunder that seem to come from the gods themselves. The Spanish flagship Santísima Trinidad, the most powerful warship ever constructed, takes a direct hit amidships. Her 4 decks of guns, her 1,200-man crew, and centuries of naval tradition vanish in an instant. But Nelson isn't paralyzed by this supernatural display. The man who lost his right arm at Tenerife and his right eye at Calvi has seen the impossible before and adapted. He signals his fleet to close distance immediately, recognizing that whatever devil's magic is destroying the Allied fleet might have limitations. His tactical genius kicks into overdrive as he realizes the mysterious explosions are coming from above, not from any visible ship. H's victory leads the charge toward the Ford at full sail. Behind her, 26 ships of the line follow their admiral into what appears to be certain death. These are sailors who fought the Dutch, the Spanish, and the French across every ocean on Earth. They've weathered hurricanes, survived scurvy, and endured battles where ships were reduced to floating splinters. They're not about to be intimidated by unexplained explosions. At 20 miles out, the Ford's phalanx systems engage, filling the air with a wall of depleted uranium rounds that shred through wooden masts and iron cannons like tissue paper. But Victory presses forward, her crew working their guns with mechanical precision, even as splinters rain down around them. At 5 miles, Nelson himself takes a musket ball through the shoulder from a sniper he can't even see, but refuses to go below deck. HMS Temeraire and HMS Neptune close alongside, their 74 guns ready to deliver broadsides at point-blank range. And that's when the Ford's greatest weakness reveals itself. For all its technological superiority, it's still just one ship against an entire fleet of vessels designed to ram, board, and fight to the death. The carrier's aircraft can destroy targets at range, but they can't stop a determined enemy from closing distance. Its defensive systems can shoot down incoming projectiles, but they weren't designed to stop three-masted ships of the line crewed by men who'd rather die than surrender. As the surviving British ships close within cannon range, 18-pound balls begin hammering the Ford's hull. The carrier's armor can stop modern missiles, but it was never tested against the concentrated fury of dozens of naval cannons firing solid shot at close range. More critically, the Ford's crew discovers that 21st century naval combat doctrine has no answer for 19th century boarding tactics when HMS Victory crashes alongside and 500 British Marines pour onto the flight deck with cutlasses and pistols. When the smoke finally clears over Trafalgar, the result would be unlike any naval battle in history. A technological marvel from the future would have demonstrated the devastating power of modern warfare, while simultaneously learning that courage, determination, and tactical brilliance can overcome almost any advantage. The Ford might survive the encounter, but Nelson's legacy would prove that some things transcend time itself. The human spirit chief among them.